Meaningless work. There's so much of it all around us, and as an intuitive, you have probably suffered because of this for a lot of your life, as I have. Or maybe you're new to the working world and already know that the way that things are set up are going to be a little bit difficult for you. I want to try to start talking about it and just open up the conversation and kind of hear from you, hear from your experiences. It's always about like kind of opening up these channels of communication around topics that affect us all and get a dialogue going between like minds, because we can these are the kind of things that where we can feel really alone and just feel like trapped and like we're in a really helpless situation, especially if we're around people who don't get it and they're just like, what are you talking about? Stop complaining, just kind of go to work like everybody else, right? My experience with this has been knowing very early on that like I would never fit into that kind of career mold, that I would never be interested in having like a job the way that other people did, because I the options that were kind of set out in front of me didn't speak to me at all, and I knew that I would never be able to do the 9-to-5 kind of lifestyle day in and day out for my entire life. So I think it's important as we struggle in those situations to try to make it kind of into a game. That's what helped for me anyway. Just trying to notice the opportunity that's there and recognize that life or the universe or source or whatever you want to call it, just kind of giving you an opportunity, putting you into a situation where you can learn something new, maybe meet specific people that maybe you kind of need to meet to learn from, to develop in your life, to like learn new skills and abilities that maybe you didn't know that you had, or just basic like life skills too, right? We have to take the time as intuitives to recognize those parts, even though we see the big picture, and it's really hard for us sometimes because we're like, well, I'm not doing anything that's having any impact. Like what I'm doing every day, day in and day out is just totally like useless. Like, you know, anybody could kind of be doing this or nobody could be doing this and it wouldn't change anything. Like that's like the pain of having to be in that situation, right? And I definitely know it and I definitely understand it. I'm talking about these things now, about seeing these kinds of lessons in the jobs that I've had. It took me a long time to get there. Like I had my first job when I was 15. I did a lot of really like meaningless little jobs, and then it was more when I turned like 22, I think that's when I started to see things as like, okay, this system isn't gonna work for me, but I'm gonna take this as kind of a game, and I'm just gonna experiment and kind of just try to find a way to make this work for me. I started trying to take control back as much as possible. I still haven't found a solution for myself. I'm still not necessarily happy in my work, though again, I am seeing the skills that I'm learning and developing in the work that I'm doing now. But it's still not quite what I want to be doing, and it's not always easy. There are those times where, you know, it's hard to force yourself to go and do something that you're not really passionate about. The pain is real. We're all kind of feeling it, but there are ways to get around it. There are ways to see the positive in the situation that is going on while trying to create or have some kind of goal or vision for yourself to create something more, or living through your creative passions in the meantime, or trying as much as possible to kind of recreate the world around you so that it fits for you. It's just this idea that always comes back to me nowadays, is the fact that we are creators, that we are all creators. And especially for intuitives, it's so important, because the only way that I used to think I could solve like that problem of suffering kind of in this world, that just, I don't know, I could only see all of the bad things. I felt really trapped. I felt like the only way to escape that was to like escape this world, right? Like leave the physical world, or even, I don't know, like become like a hermit or something, try to like escape from society and like retreat to the forest and just like try to live off the land. I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that if that's what you want to do, but I was feeling like that was my only option. And then suddenly, like more recently, I started really seeing what other people are doing and started seeing the possibilities that are actually available to us if we're willing to really get to know ourselves, to do the hard work that we need to do to really see ourselves for who and what we really are, to really see the world for who and what it really is. If we're willing to do that hard work of kind of living in the matrix, I guess, surviving within the matrix while kind of seeing it for what it really is, we can also create our own world within it, I feel. That's why it's cool to find other people who think similarly, because you can kind of create that own world together and it makes you feel less alone while you do it. And that's why I think it's important to kind of, like I said in the last video, I mean, like exist, you know, let others that think like you know that you exist and connect with them. Like it's part of kind of finding that community, right? It's really about like creating what we need so that we can feel okay, so that we can feel better, so that we can survive within this trap. And while it's not always easy, I feel like it's possible. Like I'm really like more and more optimistic about this. Even though like I'm saying this, it doesn't mean that it's like easy for me either. I haven't quite figured out how I want to go about doing this, but what matters is that we keep trying, is that we stay true to ourselves, and that we are willing to experiment, that we be willing to explore and to try some of these things that maybe, you know, at first glance may appear to be a trap. If we stay open, we stay open to possibility, open to life lessons from specific situations or from the people that we meet, sometimes life can surprise us. Sometimes we need to go through these experiences to grow, to become the people that we really can be. We have so much to learn, you know? And sometimes when we're in those jobs, maybe the jobs that we don't want to be doing, it feels like it goes on forever. But also remind yourself that it's temporary, that you know that it's not going to be your situation forever, and that and try to like kind of make the most of your time in that situation. And remember, one thing that I also really like actually about all of the little odd jobs that I've done and all of the places that I've got to see is that now when I go to a store or something and I see somebody working, I know how that person feels. And so I think that's also a part of the lesson, right? We go through these jobs that we don't want to do maybe in the beginning of our lives so that we can at least relate a little bit to the people who are in those situations. Maybe they don't mind it as much as you do. Maybe it doesn't like hurt them as much to do those meaningless jobs, because some people like to just kind of be a busy bee or whatever. But at least you can still understand how they feel. That's something that I've found to be incredibly valuable from those experiences. I love being able to have a better idea, like a better perspective of what's going on for people behind the scenes, because sometimes you don't really realize what it's like for somebody to work in their job, right? And so to have that ability to explore a little bit, to try to kind of see what's going on for other people, can really give you another vision of things and maybe even help you appreciate what you have even more when you do find a job that you enjoy, or that you enjoy a little bit more than the last one that you did. Or appreciate the fact that this person is doing this job for you, because it may be meaningless for an intuitive who, you know, wants to kind of really have an impact on like the bigger picture of things, but we do need some of these other things to be happening, right? Like I always think about the people who pick up the garbage in my street, and like I really try to be nice to them when I see them, because I know that that's really not an enjoyable job, but like I am really grateful that somebody is kind of picking up the garbage, you know. So it's also appreciating the fact that, you know, some people can do those more meaningless jobs. Some people find a way also to, you know, just clock in, clock out, and sometimes having a job that is a little less stressful also gives you an opportunity to think about some of the things that you want to think about, or depending on the job, like sometimes you can still continue like focusing on some of the things that are most important to you. You can still, this is what I actually liked about some of the jobs that I did, is you can still like listen to a podcast, or, you know, get some drawing in on the side, or, you know, some, depending on the job, sometimes you can still kind of find a way to make some of these things all fit together so it works for you. But you have to remember to do that, and remember to kind of detach from the job a little bit, like not be disrespectful to your employers, because I mean, like, we don't want to give each other a hard time either, right? I mean, we're all just kind of, there are things that just kind of need to get done, and I'm not at all encouraging you to kind of be an annoyance or like be rude to other people, because they're just trying to do their job. Everybody's just trying to do their jobs, right? But also keeping in mind that in the society that we're in, it's really, really go, and demanding a lot from us. Often in certain situations, demanding more and more and more from people, and not giving anything back, right? It's also kind of this system that we're in of like progress and like more, faster, you know. Also like remembering to take care of yourself and respect yourself amidst all of that, because it's easy to kind of go back into our training. I feel like school kind of trained us to not believe in ourselves, not trust ourselves, and kind of like constantly feel like we're not good enough, when that may not be the case, depending on your work ethic. If you're an INFJ like me, you probably can be a really good worker, and you can work yourself to death because you want to make everybody happy, you want to create that harmony, you want to you genuinely want to help, right? So it's also like remembering, connect to your values, remember what's most important to you, and if it is a job that you know isn't gonna cut it for you in the long run, do your best to kind of help everybody out, but at the same time, don't give all of your energy away. Make sure you have energy for what is most important to you, so that you can be doing that in your spare time, and feeling like your life has a sense of purpose, has something outside of your work to keep living for. Yeah, so anyway, I think that's all I want to say about this today. Feel free to share your experiences. What do you do to kind of survive within the matrix, within this system that may not be made for you or meant for you? Like, what kind of solutions have you found to deal with like meaningless work? Or how have you found ways to add like meaningful work to your life, even if it's outside of actually getting paid? For me, it's making these videos, it's taking the time to create, making the time for like exploring like the beauty all around me through like nature, through like people and exchanges. Lots of love. See you next time.